Welcome to Zoe Stories. Doctor's Orders. Embrace womanhood. Ethan had always believed he lived a simple life. Boring, predictable, and comfortably ordinary. At 24, he worked as a junior health assistant at a mid-sized private clinic in the heart of the city. His days were a blur of files, ringing telephones, and doctor schedules that somehow always changed at the last minute. It was a good job, stable, the type that parents feel proud of when describing their children. But behind Ethan's neatly pressed shirts and carefully combed hair was a secret that pressed against his chest every single day, one he kept locked so deeply it barely felt like it belonged to him anymore. On the surface, he looked like someone who had everything handled. He had a warm smile, soft features, and a slightly shy personality that people often found endearing. But beneath all of that was a truth he still struggled to face. He loved the feeling of femininity, not just in admiration, in desire. Not towards others, towards himself. This wasn't a new discovery. He had known it since he was a teenager, when he first sneaked into his mother's room and felt the unfamiliar yet strangely comforting cling of a silk scarf against his skin. It lit a spark he never understood but never forgot. Years later, that spark grew into something he could neither extinguish nor embrace completely. It was complicated, intoxicating, terrifying, and deeply personal. Yet Ethan wasn't a bold crossdresser who dressed every night or lived a double life. He wasn't confident or daring like the people he saw online. He didn't even own anything feminine, not openly. Everything he had was hidden. A small box buried under old gym clothes, containing a pale pink lipstick, a pair of sheer tights, and a single black lace camisole he never dared to wear for more than a few minutes at a time. He wasn't doing it out of rebellion. Not for fun. Not as a fantasy. But because deep down, something inside him wanted to breathe. Still, he held himself back, locking away what he really wanted because of one huge, undeniable fear. Isabella. His girlfriend of 2 years. Smart. Confident. Beautiful. Someone who knew who she was and never apologized for it. Ethan loved her more than he had ever loved anyone. But that love came with fear. The fear of losing her, disappointing her, or revealing the part of himself he still couldn't understand. Isabella loved routines. She loved stability. She loved knowing what she could expect from the person she shared her life with. And Ethan didn't know if she would ever accept the part of him that didn't fit inside that perfect structure. He imagined her reaction sometimes. Would she laugh? Would she feel betrayed? Would she leave without looking back? Every possibility scared him. Still, the desire to express his femininity didn't disappear just because he tried to control it. It lingered, quietly, persistently, a whisper behind every breath. It didn't help that Ethan worked in a clinic. Every day, he saw people talking openly about their feelings, their identities, their struggles. Doctors' offices tend to bring out raw truths. He listened as patients spoke about who they were and what they wanted to become, and every time he heard someone talk about self-acceptance, something inside him twisted. Why couldn't he have that? The irony was almost cruel. He worked for a place known for helping people heal, yet he couldn't heal himself. Ethan lived in a cozy 2-bedroom apartment with Isabella. The living room was always spotless, thanks to her insistence on tidiness. Soft lighting, scented candles, warm beige tones. Everything felt delicate in a way Ethan secretly adored. But even in that beautiful apartment, he always treaded carefully. He avoided slipping up. He avoided leaving hints. He avoided anything that could reveal who he was beneath the mask. But lately, Isabella had been stressed, more stressed than usual. Her office had been pushing insane deadlines, and she came home every night exhausted. It created distance between them, small but noticeable. Ethan didn't know if the gap came from his secret or her stress, but he felt it growing. Sometimes he caught her watching him, a slight suspicion in her eyes. She'd ask small questions. Why were you taking so long in the bathroom? Why do you smell like my lotion? Why were you folding my clothes like that? Ethan always laughed it off. But the truth always lingered in the silence afterward. Dr. Mariana Hale, the clinic's newly hired specialist. Sharp mind, Sharp eyes. A woman who could read people like open books. She had only been working there for a month, but Ethan already felt exposed every time she looked at him. It wasn't that she was intimidating, though she certainly was. It was that she had a way of seeing the truth behind the lies people didn't even speak. And one afternoon, after a long shift, she called Ethan into her office for an unexpected evaluation. Not for a patient. Not for routine. For him. He didn't understand why. He didn't understand how. But the moment he stepped inside and saw her expression, he knew she had noticed something he kept buried. Something he wasn't ready for anyone to see. "Ethan," she said as he closed the door, "sit down. We need to talk." Her tone wasn't harsh, but it wasn't soft either. It was the tone of someone who had already pieced together a truth. A truth Ethan wasn't prepared to face. A truth that would soon guide him toward a path he never expected. A path where femininity wouldn't be an occasional hidden moment, but something he would have to embrace. Fully. Completely. By doctor's orders. Ethan's pulse hammered in his ears as he sat in Dr. Mariana Hale's office, unsure whether to look at her or the floor. The afternoon sun filtered through the blinds, striping the room in warm gold, but nothing about the moment felt warm. The air felt cold, heavy, like something was pressing tightly around his chest. She folded her arms and leaned back, eyes fixed on him. Not judging, not angry, just reading him. "Ethan," she said softly, "you've been distracted lately." He nodded automatically. "Just tired." She let the sound linger. "Is that what you tell yourself, or what you're trying to tell me?" His fingers tightened around the edge of the chair. She wasn't guessing, she was probing. And somehow, she was hitting close to the truth. "I've noticed things," she continued. "Small things. The way you react when certain patients talk about self-image. The way your eyes avoid mirrors. The way your confidence dips when you think no one is watching." He felt his throat tighten. I don't know what you mean." "Yes, you do." Her voice wasn't harsh. It was calm, almost gentle, but it broke through his defenses like glass. "You're carrying something," she added quietly. "Something heavy, and you're terrified someone will see it." Ethan swallowed hard, wishing he could disappear into the chair. She wasn't wrong. She wasn't even close to wrong, she was exact. But how? How could she know? Dr. Hale leaned forward. "Ethan, is this burden connected to your identity?" He froze. His breath stalled. His hands went numb. Identity. The word felt like a key sliding into the door of a room he'd kept locked his entire life. He stared at the floor. Silence stretched between them. She didn't rush him. She didn't pressure him. She simply waited, calm, patient, unmoving. He forced out a shaky breath. "I don't know how to say it." "You don't need to say it perfectly," Dr. Hale replied. "Just say it honestly." His heart pounded. His palms sweated. His mind screamed for him to lie. To escape. To deny everything. But for once, he wanted someone to hear him. Sometimes, his voice cracked. "I feel different. Not always. Not all the time. But there's this part of me. A part one don't understand. A part I've been hiding." Dr. Hale nodded slowly. "Go on." He hesitated. "It's like, sometimes I feel more comfortable feminine. Like being softer makes sense. Like I'm closer to myself when..." He couldn't finish the sentence. But she understood. "You feel more like you when you express femininity." His breath caught. He didn't say yes. But he didn't say no either. Her gaze softened even more. "Ethan, there's nothing wrong with that." He blinked hard. His chest tightened. He wasn't used to hearing those words. "Identity is complex," she continued. "It can take years to understand. But suppressing it only creates pain. And I can see that pain in you." Ethan wiped his palms on his pants. "I don't want to ruin anything," he murmured. "I don't want Isabella to think I'm lying to her." "So, you hide yourself to keep her comfortable?" He nodded. "And in doing so, you make yourself miserable?" He couldn't answer. Dr. Hale stood and walked toward a cabinet, pulling out a manila folder. When she returned, she placed it on the desk in front of him. "What's this?" he asked. "An assessment," she replied. "A professional one." I want to help you understand your internal identity, not label it, not force it, just understand it. His heart raced. I don't know if I'm ready for that. You're more ready than you think. She opened the folder. Inside were printed forms, diagrams, identity scales, emotional checklists. But that wasn't what made him freeze. Inside the folder was a small sealed envelope labeled, "For Ethan. Only when ready." He looked up. "What's in there?" "Instructions," she said. "Guidance. A step toward accepting the part of you you've been afraid to see." I'm not sure, Ethan." Her voice softened. "I'm not here to push you. I'm here to help you take the first step toward peace. You deserve to live without fear, without shame, without hiding in the dark." He stared at the envelope. His fingers trembled as he touched it. Just touching it made something crack open inside him. Fear, curiosity, longing, and something deeper, something he had never allowed himself to feel. Relief. He swallowed. "I'll try," he whispered. Dr. Hale smiled gently. "That's all I want." Before he could stand, she added, "But Ethan, whatever you find inside yourself, whatever direction your identity leads, you'll need the courage to face it honestly." He nodded. "And you must promise me one thing," she said. "What?" "That you won't run from the truth anymore." Her words struck him like a jolt. Because deep down, he knew he had been running for years. He looked her in the eye. "I promise." "Good," she whispered. "Because your journey is about to begin." He left the office with the envelope tucked tight against his chest, as if it were the most precious and dangerous thing he had ever held. He didn't know this yet, but the envelope he carried would be the first step in a transformation he could never undo. A transformation he was about to face, whether he was ready or not. Ethan sat in his car for nearly 10 minutes before he could even turn the key. The envelope lay on the passenger seat, untouched, glowing in the soft afternoon sunlight like it had a heartbeat of its own. He stared at it. It stared back. "What are you?" he whispered to it. "A danger? A doorway? A confession waiting to explode?" He swallowed hard and reached for it, then snatched his hand back. He wasn't ready. Not yet. His phone buzzed. Isabella's name lit up the screen. "Isabella. Heading home early today. Miss you." His stomach dropped. "Early? Today of all days?" He typed back carefully. "Ethan, great. See you soon." Great? No. It was absolutely not great. He gripped the steering wheel as a wave of panic washed over him. Isabella didn't know. She had no idea about the storm brewing inside him. No idea about the urge. The identity crisis. The feminine side he was terrified she'd reject. How could she? He never told her. He drove home quickly, his thoughts louder than the engine. When he reached the apartment, he slipped inside and shut the door quietly, as if afraid the walls might judge him too. The quietness inside felt heavy. He placed the envelope on the coffee table and backed away from it like it might explode. His heart pounded. Should he open it? Should he wait? Should he pretend none of this was happening? But his fingers twitched with something deeper than fear. Curiosity. Need. Longing. He took a deep breath and opened the envelope. Inside was a single sheet of paper. At the top, in Dr. Hale's unmistakable handwriting. Step 1. Spend 1 hour today expressing the part of yourself you've never allowed to breathe. Ethan blinked. Below it, choose one thing. Clothing. Makeup. Movement. Voice. Or all of it. But you must express it without shame. His heart thudded hard. He read it again. The room went silent. No shame. Just expression. Just him. His breath shook as he looked toward the bedroom. The closet he never opened in the daytime. The drawer he kept locked. The small collection of clothes he only touched when Isabella was away or asleep. Could he really do this? And then, a knock on the door. Ethan jumped so hard, he nearly dropped the paper. A second knock. Louder. His chest seized. Who would that be? Isabella wasn't supposed to be home yet. She'd text if she arrived. She wouldn't knock. Another knock. He crept toward the door with dread eating at his spine. He looked through the peephole. It was their neighbor, Mrs. Alder, holding a box.
Not deadly.
Not suspicious. Just normal. But he still didn't want to open the door. He wasn't in the right headspace. He wasn't even present in his own body. The envelope still shook in his hand. Another knock. Ethan? I know you're there. I have your package. He forced himself to open the door. Mrs. Alder gave him a cheerful smile. Finally. I was knocking forever. Sorry, he said, trying to hide the tremble in his voice. You all right? You look pale. I'm tired. Well, get some rest, she said, handing him the box. Isabella mentioned you've been stressed. Isabella mentioned. His stomach tightened. What else had she noticed? He closed the door and exhaled shakily. His eyes drifted toward the bedroom again. The clothes, the mirror, the identity he buried. He held the page from Dr. Hale tightly. Just 1 hour, he whispered. Just expression. Just truth. Maybe he could. He walked to the bedroom slowly, like approaching a sacred or forbidden place. He opened the closet. His clothes hung neatly, but he pushed them aside until he reached the back. A small garment bag. He lifted it out, hand trembling. Inside was the soft peach dress he'd bought months ago but never worn properly. The fabric shimmered gently, delicate and inviting. His breath caught. He unzipped it further. The perfume-like scent of new fabric drifted out. Feminine.
Soft.
Comforting. Like a secret he desperately wanted to hold again. He ran his fingers over it. His heartbeat softened. His chest loosened. For a moment, just a moment, he felt peace. He took the dress out and laid it on the bed carefully. It looked unreal in the daylight, like something out of a dream he kept denying. His hands shook as he removed his shirt. He hesitated. He swallowed. And then he stepped into the dress. The fabric slid over him like water.
Soft. Light.
Tender. He closed the zipper slowly, feeling the shape of the dress form around him, hugging his waist, settling against his chest, smoothing over him like it belonged there. For a moment, he felt whole. He stood in front of the mirror. He didn't look like Ethan. He didn't look like someone pretending. He looked like a version of himself he had strangled for years. His throat tightened. His eyes burned. Not fear.
Not shame.
Something else. Recognition. He lifted his hand to the mirror, fingertips touching his reflection. Is this me? He whispered. Footsteps sounded in the hallway. He froze. A key turned in the front door. Isabella.
Home early.
His heart exploded in panic. He gasped. He backed away from the mirror. The dress clung to him. There was no time. No escape. Ethan? Isabella called. I'm home. His world collapsed. This was the moment Dr. Hale warned him about. The truth was no longer something he could run from. It was about to confront him, whether he was ready or not. Ethan's pulse hammered against his ribs like a trapped animal. The zipper of the peach dress felt tighter than a noose. His breath caught in his throat as Isabella's footsteps echoed in the hallway. He'd imagined this moment 1,000 times, but always as a nightmare, never as reality crashing into him like a tidal wave. Ethan? Are you in the bedroom? Her voice was close. Too close. He looked at himself in the mirror. Peach dress hugging his waist. Soft fabric brushing his thighs. His face flushed with fear and something he couldn't name. He tore his gaze away and scrambled toward the closet. But the hem of the dress tangled around his knee. He stumbled. A soft gasp escaped him. The sound, feminine, fragile, shocked even him. Ethan? Are you okay? Her footsteps sped up. No time. He tried yanking at the zipper, but his hands shook too much. His fingers kept slipping off the tiny metal pull. Come on. Come on. Come on. The zipper didn't move. The dress wasn't budging. His breath grew uneven, chest tightening. This couldn't happen. Not like this.
Not now.
Not in the dress. He grabbed the edge of the closet curtain, thinking maybe if he hid, maybe if she didn't look too closely. Maybe. But then, the doorknob turned. He froze. The world went silent. The door creaked open slowly, spilling warm hallway light into the room. Ethan? Why is it so quiet? Her voice cut off mid-sentence.
Because she saw the peach dress.
Laid out on the bed. Unzipped. She didn't see him yet, but she saw enough to stop her breath. Her eyes widened, confusion glowing like a spark waiting to ignite into a wildfire. Why is there a... She swallowed. Ethan? Where are you? Ethan pressed himself against the side of the dresser, heart shaking so hard the floor seemed to vibrate. He couldn't answer. He couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. Isabella stepped inside. One slow step. Then another. Her eyes swept the room. She saw the open envelope. The doctor's paper. The instructions. Her brows tightened. She picked up the page. Her lips parted as she read it. A slow, sharp inhale. Express yourself without shame, she whispered. Her voice was soft. Not angry. Not mocking. But filled with a confusion that cut deeper than any insult. Ethan squeezed his eyes shut. Please don't understand. Please don't know. Please just leave. But Isabella's tone grew sharper. Ethan, what is this? She turned, eyes scanning the room. Are you here? Please come out. He stayed still, silently begging his heartbeat to quiet down. But then, in the mirror across the room, Isabella saw movement. A faint flicker of peach fabric. Her gaze locked onto it. She turned slowly, eyes widening even more when she realized he wasn't in the closet or behind the bed. He was. Ethan? Her voice quivered. She stepped forward. Are you wearing it? The words stabbed him. His breath shattered. He pressed back against the dresser, shame burning like a fire under his skin. He didn't answer. He couldn't. Isabella took 2 more steps, and the angle finally revealed him. His shoulder, then his arm, then the curve of the dress against his body. She froze. Completely. Her fingers loosened, and the envelope slipped from her hand onto the carpet. The silence that followed was suffocating. Ethan felt everything collapse inside him. He whispered, barely audible. I didn't mean for you to see me like this. Isabella didn't speak. She didn't move. She just stared, eyes huge, breathing shallow, caught between shock and 1,000 unspoken questions. Finally, she exhaled shakily. Ethan, why? He opened his mouth, but no words came.
His throat was sand.
His lungs were knives. His mind was a storm. I can't explain, he whispered. Then try, she said softly. That softness hurt more than anger would have. Ethan's legs wobbled. He sank onto the edge of the bed, dress pooling around him like spilled sunrise. He couldn't look at her. He stared at the floor instead. And then, Isabella sat beside him. Not close. Not far. Just beside him. He could barely breathe. Ethan, she said quietly, I'm not angry. I'm confused. Worried. But please talk to me. Her voice trembled. That broke him. He swallowed hard, tears gathering at the edges of his eyes. It's not what you think, he whispered. I didn't put on your clothes. It's mine. Her lips parted. Shock flickered across her face. Yours? He nodded. Slowly. Painfully. I bought it months ago, he said. I hide it. I only wear it when I'm alone. I don't know what it means. I'm scared of what it means. Isabella's breath hitched. He kept going. Dr. Hale told me to express myself for an hour. To stop running from it. And I thought you'd be home late. I thought I'd have time to change back. I thought I could avoid this. Avoid you seeing me like... His voice cracked. Like this. Isabella didn't speak for a long moment. Then, she reached out slowly. Her fingers hovered above his hand. Not touching. Not yet. Just near. Ethan, she whispered, are you saying you want to be like this? His heart twisted painfully. I don't know, he whispered. But I feel more like myself, wearing this than I ever do in normal clothes. And that terrifies me. Isabella finally touched his hand. Warm. Gentle. Human. He exhaled shakily. Then, a phone buzzed. Ethan jumped. Isabella glanced at her screen, and her face drained of color. What is it? He asked, panic rising. She looked at him with wide, fearful eyes. Ethan, you have another appointment with Dr. Hale. Tonight. His blood turned cold. Tonight? He never booked that. He never asked for it.
Well,
Isabella whispered. Why would he call you back so soon? Ethan's entire body went numb. Something was happening. Something Dr. Hale hadn't told him. Something bigger than a dress. Bigger than fear. Bigger than identity. Isabella stood, clutching her phone. Ethan, what did your doctor do to you? And in that moment, he finally realized the truth. This wasn't just about crossdressing. This wasn't just about expression. Dr. Hale had a plan. And Ethan was already in the middle of it. Dr. Reyes didn't waste a second. The moment I stepped into her private therapy studio, dim lights, vanilla-scented air, soft violins playing, she locked the door behind me as if she knew I might run. Sit, she said softly, but the softness carried a force that pinned me in place. I sat. She dragged a chair in front of me, close enough that I could see my reflection in her glasses, nervous, stiff, confused. She studied me like a painter examines a blank canvas. You're tense, she whispered.
good.
That means there's something inside you trying to break free. My throat tightened. Doctor, I don't know what you think is happening to me, but I'm not. She raised a finger. You're becoming. One word. But it hit me like thunder. Becoming what? Becoming who? Before I could ask, she stood and walked to a cabinet. When she opened it, I expected medical tools. Needles. Files. Not what she actually pulled out. A wig stand. A sleek black bob wig sat on top like a silent challenge. My chest twisted.
No.
I can't. You haven't even listened yet, she said, stepping closer. Every symptom you described, the dreams, the fantasies, the panic when you look in the mirror, the relief when someone calls you soft, they're not accidents. She placed the wig on the table gently, like it was something sacred. They are signs. I swallowed hard. Signs of what? That you've been suppressing a feminine identity so deeply, your mind is forcing it upward. And if we don't give it a safe, structured path out, her eyes locked with mine, it will tear itself free on its own. My stomach dropped. My heartbeat went wild. A cold shiver shot down my spine. She stepped back behind me and placed her hands on my shoulders.
Warm. Steady.
Confident. For today, she whispered, I want you to allow yourself to try. I shook my head, breath shaky. I'm not ready. You don't have to be ready, she said, leaning closer. You just have to let go. She didn't give me time to protest. She lifted the wig. Slowly, almost ceremonially. My body froze. My chest felt like it was filling with heavy heat and trembling ice at the same time. Dr. Reyes, please don't. Say it, she murmured. Say what you're afraid of. I clenched my fists. My jaw tightened. But my mouth opened on its own. I'm afraid that if you put that on me, I won't want to take it off. Silence. Complete silence. Then she smiled, the kind of smile you give someone who finally tells the truth. That, she said softly, is exactly why you need this. And with a slow, deliberate motion, she lowered the wig onto my head. The strands brushed my cheeks. My breath stuttered. The sensation was electric, new, terrifying, addictive. My reflection in her glasses changed instantly.
Softer.
Different. Like someone else was blinking back at me. Someone I had tried to bury. Dr. Reyes leaned to my ear. Her voice almost a whisper of silk. Welcome. Don't fight her. Not today. My pulse thundered. My mind screamed. But my body melted. She pulled the chair back around and held up a hand mirror. I want you to look, she said.
No.
Yes. Doctor. Look. The command went through me like lightning. I lifted my eyes, and everything inside me cracked open, because the person staring back, the combination of my face and that wig, wasn't a joke, wasn't a costume. It was a version of me that felt real in a way I couldn't explain. I exhaled shakily. What's happening to me? Dr. Reyes knelt beside me and placed her hand gently over mine. You are awakening, she said. and I'm going to guide you through every step. My breath trembled. Why me? I whispered. She smiled again, soft, but with something fierce underneath. Because you're one of the rare ones who were never meant to be confined by the identity you were handed. And deep down, you've known that all along. A chill ran through my entire body. This wasn't just therapy. This felt like initiation. And as her hand tightened around mine, I realized this was only the beginning. Ethan's reflection stared back at him from the full-length mirror, an unrecognizable, yet intoxicating version of himself. The wig was perfectly settled on his head, soft strands brushing his shoulders, and the delicate blouse she had handed him clung like it was made to fit him, accentuating curves he never acknowledged before. The tight skirt beneath it threatened to slip every time he moved, reminding him of the precariousness of this transformation. He had never felt so exposed, yet so alive. Every step he took across the room made the fabric swish softly. Every glance in the mirror made him shiver. He was becoming someone else, but at the same time, finally meeting himself. Then came the knock. Not a gentle, ordinary knock. This was deliberate.
Sharp.
Insistent. Ethan froze. His pulse spiked. He was alone, or so he thought. The envelope. The instructions. Dr. Reyes's words. Don't fight her. Not today. It echoed in his mind like a command. He took a deep breath and stepped toward the door, the skirt brushing against his thighs, high heels clacking softly on the hardwood floor. Every step felt like a test of courage, a test of identity. As he opened the door, a shadow filled the hallway. Not Isabella this time. Not Dr. Reyes. Someone else. His roommate, Mark. Mark froze. Then smirked. Dude, what the hell are you wearing? Ethan's stomach dropped. His body stiffened, panic clawing at him. This wasn't supposed to happen. He hadn't planned for anyone else to see, not yet. He stammered, searching for words. It's just cross-dressing. Mark laughed, but there was something uncomfortably curious behind the humor. Wait, you're serious? Ethan swallowed, heart hammering against his ribs. He could feel every beat like a drum announcing his secret to the world. Yes, he whispered, almost too quiet for himself. Mark stepped closer, leaning against the wall, his face unreadable now. And you like it? Ethan's breath caught. Did he like it? He had tried to bury it, tried to ignore it. But the truth was, yes, he admitted softly. I do. Mark didn't react immediately. He tilted his head, studying him. Not judgment, not mockery, something else. Confusion? Curiosity? Recognition? Before Ethan could say more, his phone vibrated. Dr. Reyes. A message. Time to step further. You've done well. Now fully embrace her. Alone for 10 minutes. No interruptions. Face the mirror, Ethan. Ethan felt the pull of adrenaline and fear. Alone. Fully exposed. Vulnerable. This was the final instruction before the true transformation. Mark glanced over. Gonna do that now? Ethan nodded faintly, heart pounding like a drum in a storm. Yeah, I need to. Mark's smirk returned, though softer this time. All right, I'll step out for 10. Don't freak me out too much, okay? And then the door clicked. Silence. Alone again. Ethan's trembling hands adjusted the blouse. He ran fingers along the silky fabric, feeling the contours of his body in a way that was both foreign and electric. Every nerve ending seemed alive. Every heartbeat thudded like an alarm. He faced the mirror. At first, he avoided his gaze. Then slowly, as instructed, he allowed himself to look. And he froze. The person staring back at him wasn't fully Ethan. Not fully the feminine figure, but a perfect, dangerous hybrid of both. Every hair, every curve, every expression screamed truth. The moment stretched. 1, 2, 3 minutes. His body shook. Fear and thrill mingled into an almost unbearable cocktail. And then, he did something he had never dared. He smiled. A small, genuine smile. Not a mask. Not a joke. A real smile. The tension in his shoulders melted fractionally. The hips swayed naturally as he shifted his weight. His hands moved gently over the blouse and skirt, exploring the textures, embracing the sensation. It was a surrender, but not defeat. A revelation. The envelope had led him here. Dr. Reyes had guided him. And he had crossed the threshold. A knock at the door shattered the moment.
Mark.
5 minutes are up. Everything okay in there? Ethan exhaled sharply. I'm okay. The mirror reflected it all. Him, her, the combination, the conflict, the clarity. He realized in that moment that the transformation wasn't just physical. It was emotional, psychological, dangerous, liberating, and irreversible. Because when he finally stepped away the apartment was unusually quiet. Too quiet. Ethan could hear the faint hum of the refrigerator, the soft whir of the ceiling fan, and his own heartbeat, thundering like a drum in his chest. The envelope from Dr. Reyes had been sitting untouched on the coffee table all morning. Every glance at it made him sweat. Today was the day he had to take the next step, but something felt off. He wasn't alone. A small voice whispered in his mind, "What if it's too much?" He shook his head.
No.
He had to do it. He had to face it. He moved toward the bedroom, hands trembling slightly. The soft fabric of the dress lay waiting on the bed like a dare. Unlike before, he didn't touch it immediately. He stood at a distance, staring, calculating, wondering if he could even go through with it this time. Then he heard it, a faint creak outside the bedroom door. He froze. Someone was moving around in the living room. Someone watching. Panic shot through him. He darted to the closet and pulled open the door. Inside, the soft shadows of hanging clothes seemed to sway. He reached for the hidden garment bag, his lifeline. The dress was there, folded carefully. His fingers grazed the silky fabric, and for a second, the world outside didn't exist. And then a whisper. "Ethan?" He whipped around. Nothing. Only the mirror reflecting the narrow hallway. His pulse raced. Was it his imagination? Or someone testing him? Dr. Reyes's note flashed in his memory. The final stage is not about clothes. It's about control. Can you own her? Control. Ethan exhaled slowly and stepped into the dress. The fabric slid over him like liquid, clinging to his body in a way that made him feel exposed and alive at the same time. He closed the zipper with a click and looked in the mirror. She was there. A version of himself he hadn't allowed to exist in daylight. Confident, delicate, alive. A knock at the door made him jump. This time he didn't hide. It opened slowly. And there she was, not Isabella, not a friend, but a stranger. A woman with a clipboard, sharp eyes, and a smile that didn't quite reach her face. "Ethan Hale," she said. Yes, his voice shook, thin and high. "I'm here for Dr. Reyes's experiment." Experiment? Before he could react, she stepped in, calm and precise. "We're running a test today. You will perform 3 tasks. You may refuse, but refusal has consequences." His heart slammed. What are the tasks? She handed him a small card. Each line burned into his eyes. 1. Walk through the living room in full attire. 2. Speak in the voice she gives you. 3. Maintain eye contact with a stranger for 10 full minutes. Ethan's stomach twisted. He had never spoken aloud in this persona. Never shown it to another soul. And now a stranger demanded it. His mind raced. Panic threatened to paralyze him. But a strange thrill surged beneath the fear. This was beyond any private indulgence. This was public, vulnerable, and intoxicating. The woman gestured toward the living room. "Begin." He swallowed, legs shaking. The dress felt tighter, the heels higher, the reflection in the mirror sharper. Every movement was deliberate, every step conscious. His hands brushed the soft fabric of the skirt as he approached the living room. The lights seemed brighter, the walls closer. Then she handed him a small device like a microphone. "Use your new voice.
Speak to me.
Tell me your story." Ethan's throat burned. He opened his mouth. Soft words tumbled out. Hesitant, unsure, but distinctly hers. The voice surprised even him. feminine, delicate, trembling at first, then growing steadier with every word. The stranger nodded.
Good.
Now, eye contact. Ethan froze. For 10 minutes. 10 minutes staring into the eyes of a woman he had never met, revealing his secret, his truth, his vulnerability. Time stretched. The world outside the apartment seemed to disappear. Only the two of them remained. Only him and this reflection of his new self. By the 5th minute, sweat dripped down his back. His legs quivered. Every nerve ending screamed. But something miraculous happened. He stopped feeling fear. He stopped feeling shame. For the first time, he felt right. The stranger's gaze softened. She took notes, silent. But there was approval in the way she leaned slightly forward, curiosity in the tilt of her head. Ethan exhaled slowly, realizing he had completed all 3 tasks. And in that moment, he understood the final truth. This wasn't just a dress. It wasn't just a voice. It wasn't just a game or a test. It was liberation. And nothing, no one could take it from him. The stranger smiled faintly. Well done. Dr. Reyes will be pleased. Ethan's heart pounded. Relief, terror, exhilaration, a storm of emotions. He looked in the mirror one last time. She was there. Confident, alive, defiant. And Ethan knew the final stage wasn't coming, it was already here. The first knock at the door came like a warning shot. Ethan froze mid-step, the high heels digging into his feet, his fingers clutching the edge of the silky blouse. His reflection in the mirror stared back, fragile, feminine, yet impossibly bold. The wig sat crookedly after a nervous adjustment, strands brushing against his pale cheeks. Ethan? Isabella's voice called from the hallway. Panic ripped through him. He wasn't ready. No one was supposed to know, especially not now. But then he remembered Dr. Reyes's words from earlier. True transformation requires risk. The risk had arrived. He pressed himself against the bedroom wall, peeking through the small gap at the door. Isabella's shadow moved back and forth like a predator testing its prey. Her heels clicked softly on the floor, each step echoing through the silent apartment. Ethan's heart raced uncontrollably. He felt the skirt cling tighter to his thighs, the blouse brushing every nerve, ending raw with anticipation. And then, the unexpected. A second knock, sharper, heavier, from the front door. Ethan's blood ran cold. Who could it be now? He peeked through the curtains. Mark, maybe?
No.
Someone taller, broader, unmistakably unfamiliar. A man, dressed in black, with a briefcase clutched tightly to his chest. Before Ethan could process, the intercom buzzed. Delivery for Ethan Hale. Signature required. The envelope from Dr. Reyes had said to expect a challenge. But this was real. Dangerous. He swallowed hard. Heart thundering, he slipped behind the bed, skirt brushing the hardwood floor, cheeks burning. Ethan? Isabella's voice came again, closer this time. He tried to speak, to explain, but the words stuck in his throat. The front door clicked. A man's voice, low and commanding. Ethan Hale. Open the door. Isabella stepped closer, tilting her head with suspicion. Ethan's mind raced. One option, hide. Risk being discovered in this persona. Another option, face it. Risk everything. He chose the second. He straightened, smoothing the dress down, adjusting the wig, and walked toward the front door with shaky but deliberate steps. The man from the hallway stood there, face partially hidden beneath a cap. Ethan Hale? Yes, Ethan said, voice higher than normal, feminine yet defiant. The man extended a hand. Delivery for your experiment. Ethan's pulse spiked. I don't know what you mean. Dr. Reyes sent me, the man said, sliding a small black box onto the floor. Open it. She instructed it be done in your new form. Ethan's hands shook. He bent down and opened the box. Inside, a delicate mask, black lace with ruby accents and a note. Wear it. Complete the transformation. Only then will you understand. Fear and curiosity collided in his chest. He lifted the mask, feeling the silk against his skin, the weight of expectation pressing down on him. Isabella's voice, calm but incredulous, broke through. You're going to put that on? Ethan nodded, breath shallow. I have to. The moment he placed the mask over his eyes, everything changed. The room blurred. Sounds amplified. Colors sharpened. His body moved differently, hips swaying naturally, shoulders softened. The mask didn't just hide him. It became him. Then Isabella gasped. You're... Ethan didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to.
She saw it.
The shift, the transformation, the audacity of him embracing the persona fully. And just as the thrill washed over him, the building's fire alarm screamed to life. Red lights flashed. Smoke poured from the vents. Ethan stumbled, high heels slipping slightly on the smooth floor. Panic gripped him as the dual threats collided, identity fully revealed, chaos surrounding him. Isabella grabbed his arm. We need to go. But the mask limited his vision. Every movement felt alien. Every step a test of balance, control, and courage. As they stumbled through the smoke-filled hallway, a sudden crash echoed from the apartment behind them. The man in black appeared, blocking the stairwell exit. No one leaves until the test is complete, he said, voice as cold as steel. Ethan froze. Was this part of the experiment? Or had he crossed into danger he couldn't control? Adrenaline surged. He tightened his grip on Isabella's hand, feeling her pulse sync with his. They had to move to survive. The hallway narrowed. Shadows danced on the walls as flames reflected off the windows. Every heartbeat was a countdown. And then a decision. Ethan stepped forward, high heels clicking with purpose. The mask felt like a second skin. The dress, the blouse, the persona, it was no longer about hiding. It was about power. He raised his chin. His voice, now strong, feminine, commanding. Step aside. The man hesitated, stunned by the confidence in a body he thought fragile. And then, just as the alarm reached its peak, the man stepped back. Ethan and Isabella bolted down the stairwell, hearts pounding, smoke stinging their lungs, adrenaline making the world surreal and vivid. They reached the lobby, gasping for air. Fire alarms, chaos, strangers fleeing, but Ethan didn't feel small. He felt transformed. The mask, the dress, the heels, everything that had terrified him now felt like armor. But even as relief washed over him, a single thought burned. Dr. Reyes isn't done. This is only the beginning. The cliffhanger was set. Stakes had exploded. Identity, danger, desire, and fear, all colliding into a single, irreversibly changed moment. Ethan was no longer just Ethan. He was her. And the world would never let him forget it. Ethan's heels clicked sharply against the wet pavement outside the building, each step a jolt of reality crashing into his newfound identity. Smoke still curled from the stairwell behind them, the chaos inside fading like a nightmare. But the danger wasn't over.
Not yet.
Isabella kept pace, her eyes wide, searching his face. Ethan, what the hell is happening to you? He swallowed, the mask pressed against his skin, the dress clinging tighter than ever. The city lights reflected off the glass of nearby buildings, fragmented and distorted, making him feel like a shattered version of himself, half him, half her. I can't explain it, he admitted, voice trembling, high and foreign. Dr. Reyes, it's not just therapy. It's forcing me to be her. And I'm starting to understand. Before Isabella could respond, a sleek black car screeched to a halt at the curb. Two men in suits jumped out, moving fast, precise. Ethan Hale. One barked, voice cold. You're coming with us. Panic surged like wildfire. The heels made running awkward, the skirt binding every movement, but instinct took over. I'm not going anywhere, Ethan shouted, a new fire in his chest. The men hesitated, confused by the confidence in a body they assumed fragile. And that confidence, born from weeks of fear, secrecy, and small victories in front of mirrors and wigs, was growing, swelling like a storm. I said I'm not going, Ethan repeated, voice stronger. Feminine, yes, but commanding, undeniable. The taller of the men stepped forward, raising his hand. The other reached for him. Ethan's heart thundered, adrenaline and fear mingling with something he couldn't name. His body moved on its own accord, heels clicking, skirt swaying, every step asserting ownership of the persona Dr. Reyes had guided him into. He raised his chin and stared both men down. For the first time, the reflection he saw wasn't scared. It was lethal, alive, dangerous. A sudden flash of movement. Isabella grabbed a nearby traffic cone, swinging it at the approaching men. Chaos erupted. Ethan ducked instinctively, feeling the skirt brush the pavement. The heels dug into the asphalt. The mask pressed tighter, but he didn't care. The adrenaline sharpened his senses. He realized for the first time that the transformation wasn't just about the dress, the wig, or the persona. It was about power, ownership, command. One of the men lunged. Ethan pivoted, moving with a fluidity he didn't know he possessed, skirt twisting, mask shimmering under the streetlights. He could feel every nerve alive, every muscle responding instinctively. And then a hand grabbed his shoulder from behind. He spun, heart leaping, expecting another threat. Instead, it was Dr. Reyes. "Step back, Ethan. Let me handle this," she said, calm, deadly. She moved with purpose, authority radiating from her like a force field. The men hesitated, confused by her confidence, their own sense of control slipping. Ethan's chest heaved. He could barely process the swirling storm, fire alarm, strangers, danger, his new identity fully embraced, and Dr. Reyes appearing like some omnipotent guide. "Now," she said, snapping him out of his daze. "Show them who you are." Ethan's lips parted, and the voice that emerged was not frightened. It was hers, sharp, fearless, commanding. The mask amplified it, blending his essence with her presence. The two men froze. Shock, confusion, disbelief, every emotion written plainly on their faces. And then, as if the city itself recognized the shift, a distant siren wailed, red and blue lights reflecting off the wet streets. Ethan moved forward, heels clicking, skirt swaying, eyes locked on the men. "You will not touch me. You will not touch her.
Leave. Now."
The command, a combination of defiance and newfound confidence, carried weight. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then, slowly, the men backed away, uncertain, defeated, not because of force, but because of presence.
Power.
Identity. Ethan had crossed the threshold into something no one could challenge. He turned to Isabella, chest heaving, mask glinting in the streetlights. I'm her. I'm her," he said softly, almost in awe. She stared for a moment, silent, processing the transformation, the intensity, the raw emotion. Then, cautiously, she nodded. "Yes," she whispered. "I see you." And in that instant, Ethan realized the final truth of the journey so far. The persona wasn't a disguise. It wasn't temporary. It wasn't a game. It was him. And him was unstoppable. But even as he stood there, victorious, a chill ran down his spine. The threats weren't gone. Dr. Reyes's experiments were far from over. And the world outside, judgmental, unpredictable, dangerous, was only just beginning to notice. He glanced at the black car in the distance, the men retreating, the city alive with noise. And he knew, deep in his soul, this was only the beginning. The storm of identity, power, and danger had fully collided. And there was no turning back. The apartment was quiet now, but the tension lingered like a thick fog. Ethan leaned against the doorframe, still in the dress, still masked, every nerve on fire. Isabella stood beside him, eyes wide, silently processing the storm they had just escaped. But the relief was temporary. A soft chime came from his laptop on the dining table. A notification, a video call from Dr. Reyes. Ethan's stomach twisted. The screen flickered on. Dr. Reyes's face appeared, calm, unreadable. "Congratulations, Ethan. You've survived the first test." Ethan exhaled shakily. What now?" "Now," she said, her voice slicing through the silence. "You confront the truth you've been avoiding." Before he could respond, the camera shifted, showing footage from inside the apartment earlier, footage he didn't know existed. Every moment of hesitation, every tremble, every glance had been recorded. And worse, every instance of his feminine persona captured in vivid detail. Ethan's blood ran cold. You recorded me?" "Of course," Dr. Reyes said softly. "Observation is part of transformation. Understanding is part of control." Isabella gasped beside him. "Ethan?" He felt exposed, every secret laid bare. His hands trembled, the dress tight against his thighs, the mask restricting his vision but amplifying his heartbeat. "What do you want from me?" he asked, voice barely a whisper, high and fragile. "To embrace her fully," Dr. Reyes replied. "Not half-heartedly. Not in secret. Completely. Tonight you will perform alone. No interruptions. No hiding. Only then will the next stage begin." Ethan's chest tightened. Alone. Fully exposed. Vulnerable. The thought terrified him. But another part, smaller, braver, thrilled. A part that had tasted freedom in the heels, in the skirt, in the mask. That part wanted the challenge. He turned to Isabella. I have to do this," he said. She hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I trust you." The air in the apartment seemed heavier as he moved toward the living room. The lights flickered slightly, casting long shadows across the walls, exaggerating his every movement. Every sway of the skirt, every click of the heels, every breath amplified the suspense. And then the unexpected. A knock at the window. Ethan froze. High above the city, the apartment's lights reflected like stars on glass. He approached cautiously. A figure outside, barely visible, waved. A message scrawled on a piece of paper. "We know. Stop hiding." Fear surged. Who could it be? How much did they know? Ethan's mind raced. Should he call the police? Ignore it? Run? But the persona, the her, took over. His hands smoothed the skirt, adjusted the wig, and he straightened his back. "Let's finish this," he whispered to himself. He moved to the center of the living room, every inch of the space becoming a stage. The mask clung to his face like armor, every feature sharpened, every emotion amplified. He began speaking aloud, recounting his journey from the moment he first touched the dress, to the first shaky steps in heels, to the first whispers of exhilaration. His voice shook, high and feminine, but steadying with each sentence. Every word was a confession, every phrase a surrender. Suddenly, the laptop camera swiveled toward him, Dr. Reyes's eyes wide, almost approving. "Good. Keep going." And then, a sound from the bedroom. A drawer opening. Footsteps approaching. Ethan's heart leaped. Someone was inside. Someone was watching. He froze, every instinct screaming to run. But he didn't. Because this wasn't just about survival anymore. It was about ownership. The footsteps drew closer, deliberate. A shadow moved across the wall. The closet door creaked open. Mark. Ethan's best friend and roommate stood there, eyes wide, jaw dropping. "Holy, Ethan, what the hell?" The mask prevented full expression, but the silence said everything. Mark had seen the full transformation. Ethan's pulse raced. Panic surged. Shame burned. But then, a strange calm settled over him. He straightened, high heels clicking, skirt swaying, voice steady, eyes locked on Mark. "Yes, I am her, and I am done hiding." Mark stepped back, uncertain. I don't know what to say." Ethan took a deep breath. "You don't have to. Just accept it. Accept me. Or leave." The room seemed suspended, every second stretched, every heartbeat amplified. Finally, Mark nodded slowly, stepping back, allowing Ethan space. The tension didn't dissipate, it evolved. Suspense hung like smoke in the air. And through it all, the persona, the her, felt stronger than ever. The final instruction from Dr. Reyes was clear. Full embrace. Full exposure. Full reckoning. And Ethan had done it. But as the camera continued rolling, capturing every tremble, every triumph, every flicker of fear, Ethan realized one thing. This was no longer just an experiment. It was a revelation. And nothing, no fear, no shame, no outside observer, could take it from him now. Yet, a shadow lingered at the edge of his mind. Dr. Reyes's voice, cold and unyielding. The next stage begins when you are ready. But are you? Ethan's eyes met the mask in the mirror. She smiled. Yes, he whispered. And in that whispered word, the storm surged toward the final, most dangerous climax yet. Ethan stood at the center of the dimly lit apartment, mask pressed firmly to his face, heels clicking softly on the hardwood floor. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the distant hum of traffic outside. He had survived the immediate tests, Isabella's initial shock, the intruders, the fiery chaos, but a new unease crept into his chest. He felt it in the shallow tremble of his hands, the subtle hitch in his breath. Something was off. The laptop chimed again, Dr. Reyes's voice filling the room.
Ethan.
You're ready for the final test. But beware, the stakes have changed. You are no longer just proving control. You are proving survival. Ethan's pulse jumped. Survival? Before he could process the words, the lights flickered. Shadows danced across the walls, morphing, stretching, twisting. A movement caught his eye, a dark figure standing in the corner, barely visible, yet unmistakable.
He froze.
The figure stepped forward slowly, tall, silent, exuding a presence that made the room feel smaller, heavier. Ethan's heartbeat thudded like a drum against his ribs. Who's there? He called, voice trembling. Feminine, high, yet somehow authoritative. The figure didn't answer. Instead, it moved closer, gliding, almost floating across the floor. Ethan's mind raced. Could it be another test? Another intruder? Dr. Reyes? The figure stepped fully into the light. It was someone he never expected. A colleague from work, James, a man he'd trusted, laughed with, shared coffees with in the office. Now his expression was unreadable, but his eyes sharp, calculating, almost predatory. I don't understand, Ethan whispered. What are you doing here? James smiled, slow and deliberate. Dr. Reyes told me to ensure your commitment. She wants to see if you can maintain her persona under pressure. No excuses. No hiding. Ethan swallowed hard. The mask clung to his face, the heels pressed painfully into his feet, the skirt binding every movement. His secret life had collided with his real world, and now the line between them had blurred completely. Why are you testing me like this? Ethan asked, voice cracking. James's gaze was cold. Because half measures get people hurt. You're not just experimenting with identity, Ethan. You're experimenting with power. And power comes with responsibility. Ethan's hands shook. Every instinct screamed to run, to rip the mask off, tear off the dress, and retreat to safety. But the persona, the her, didn't flinch. The voice that emerged was soft, commanding, unwavering. I can do this. I can face it. James's lips curved. We'll see. Then he threw a small device to the floor. Ethan recognized it immediately. A timer, counting down. You have 10 minutes, James said. 10 minutes to prove you can maintain control, maintain presence, maintain her. If you fail, the experiment ends. Permanently. The weight of the words pressed down like bricks. Permanently. Ethan's chest tightened. Sweat stung his eyes. The heels dug into his toes, but he didn't move. He couldn't move. He took a deep breath, feeling the mask mold to his skin, the dress tighten, the persona rise from the depths of his fear. Every second counted. The timer ticked. 9 minutes.
8, 7.
James circled him, inspecting, observing, testing. Every subtle tremor, every flicker of hesitation, he recorded. Ethan began speaking, recounting his journey. Not the rehearsed version, but the raw, unfiltered truth. Fear, exhilaration, shame, liberation, all tangled together. His voice wavered, faltered, then steadied. Every word empowered him. Every phrase brought him closer to fully owning her, fully embracing the persona he had hidden for so long. 5 minutes left. James stepped closer, almost invading his space. "Keep going," he urged, voice low, insistent. "Don't stop. Even if it hurts." Ethan's heart pounded.
Pain? Yes.
Physical strain, emotional strain, exposure, but also liberation. 3 minutes. The city outside blurred. Sirens, traffic, voices, all distant echoes. There was only the room, the persona, the mask, and the pressure mounting like a storm ready to break. 2 minutes. Sweat dripped down his spine, heels slipping slightly. The skirt clung tighter. His body moved instinctively now, no fear, no shame. Just presence. James's gaze softened slightly. Approval? Perhaps. Or maybe it was a warning. The final seconds would decide everything. 1 minute. Ethan's voice rose. Full confidence, resonant, feminine, commanding. The persona had fully emerged. The mask was no longer a restraint, it was an extension. The dress no longer a trap, it was armor. James stepped back, impressed. But the timer was relentless. 10 seconds. Ethan's heartbeat synchronized with a final tick. Silence. Intensity.
Power. Fear.
Triumph.
0.
The device clicked off. James smiled faintly. "Well done, Ethan." "Truly." Ethan collapsed onto the sofa, chest heaving, tears brimming beneath the mask. Relief. Exhaustion.
Victory.
And yet deep down, he knew this was far from over. Dr. Reyes's voice echoed in his memory. "The final stage begins when you believe you are invincible." But are you? Ethan looked at the mask in his hands, the heels on his feet, the reflection in the window of the city lights. He was ready. But the storm outside, and inside, was only beginning. Ethan's reflection in the floor-to-ceiling window stared back at him, masked, delicate, yet undeniably fierce. The city lights below shimmered, fracturing across the glass like shards of a dream, a warning, a promise. He had survived intruders, tests, exposure, and pressure. He had embraced her fully. But deep down, a whisper persisted, "This is not over." The apartment door clicked behind him. He whirled, heels slipping slightly on the polished floor. A shadow loomed. It was Isabella. Her expression was unreadable. Fear, awe, confusion all tangled together. "Ethan, are you okay?" He swallowed, every heartbeat reverberating in his ears. I think so," he whispered, voice trembling, feminine, yet steady. "But I'm not done. I can't be." Her eyes softened, but before she could respond, the intercom buzzed. A distorted voice, electronically altered, filled the room. "Ethan Hale, your journey isn't complete. One final test awaits. Are you prepared to embrace everything, or lose it all?" Ethan's chest tightened. Dr. Reyes, or someone else. He couldn't tell, but the thrill, the terror, coursed through his veins. "Yes," he said aloud, louder than before. "I am ready." The intercom clicked off. Silence, except for the faint hum of city life outside. Then a package slid under the door. Ethan bent down, mask pressing into his face, heels creaking, fingers trembling. A small, sleek envelope. He tore it open. Inside, a single black feather, a vial of liquid, and a note. "Drink, wear, and fully become. Only then will the final revelation appear." Ethan's mind whirled. Drink? Where? What did it mean? He turned to Isabella. She looked at him, eyes wide. "Do you have to?" He nodded, swallowing hard. I have to. This is it. This is the endgame." He uncorked the vial. The liquid shimmered, dark and iridescent, like liquid night. He hesitated, heart racing. The persona, the mask, the dress, every nerve in his body screaming caution. But the voice in his mind, her, urged forward. "This is you. This is power. This is freedom." He drank. Fire shot through his veins, a burning, electrifying sensation that made him gasp. The heels dug into his feet, the skirt tightened, And suddenly, everything shifted. His reflection in the window morphed, rippling, changing. Not just him, but a version of her, beautiful, commanding, untouchable, emerged. The mask seemed to melt into his skin, the dress reshaping, molding perfectly to the transformed figure. Isabella stepped back, awestruck. "Ethan, you're incredible." Before he could savor the moment, a sound froze him. From the shadows of the living room, a figure emerged, tall, imposing, draped in black, face hidden beneath a hood. "Dr. Reyes," Ethan whispered, voice trembling but fierce. The figure removed the hood. Not Dr. Reyes. Someone else. Another masked figure, eyes glinting, holding a long black staff. "You've done well," the stranger said, voice deep, hypnotic. "But now the ultimate choice. Embrace her or be erased." Ethan's chest heaved. The transformation, the mask, the persona, the power, it all collided with fear, danger, and exhilaration. "Erase me," he repeated, heart hammering. I won't let you." The stranger raised the staff. Energy crackled, illuminating the apartment in pulses of violet and black. The air was thick with tension, danger, and the weight of consequence. Ethan's reflection shimmered, then solidified. The persona, the her, was no longer fragile. She was alive, commanding, fierce. He stepped forward, heels clicking, skirts swaying, mask shimmering under the pulsing lights. "I am her, and I will not be erased." The staff struck the floor. Energy surged toward him. Time seemed to stretch. Every second a lifetime. Every heartbeat thundered in his ears. Then, the flicker. A glimmer of doubt in the stranger's eyes. Ethan seized the moment. He raised his arms, fully embracing the persona, fully embodying the transformation. The energy hit him, and instead of destruction, it wrapped around him, bending, reshaping, amplifying. The mask, the dress, the heels, all became conduits of power. The stranger staggered, eyes wide, shocked. Ethan stepped forward, confidence radiating from every movement. "I am not afraid. I am everything." And then, before the confrontation could end, the lights in the apartment cut out completely. Darkness swallowed the room. A whisper floated in the air, chilling, intimate. "Are you ready to see who you really are?" Ethan froze. He couldn't see, couldn't hear beyond the whisper, couldn't move, yet every nerve, every sense, every ounce of the persona pulsed, alive, waiting. And then the screen went black. Silence. And in the silence, one thought remained. Everything has changed. Nothing will ever be the same. The apartment was plunged into darkness, shadows swallowing every corner, every object, every echo of movement. Ethan stood frozen, heels pressed into the floor, mask clinging to his face, skirt brushing against his trembling legs. The lingering energy from the stranger's staff still tingled through his veins, sharp and electric, reminding him that nothing, no moment, no breath, was safe. Isabella gripped his arm, her nails biting into his sleeve. Her voice was barely above a whisper, trembling with fear. "Ethan, what's happening?" Who was that? Ethan could only shake his head, unsure himself. The persona, her, was alive, commanding, powerful, but the unknown outside the darkness was suffocating. The air felt thick, heavy with unspoken threats. Every sound, every creak of the apartment, felt amplified, as though the walls themselves were watching. A low hum began, emanating from the far corner of the room. It wasn't electronic, not a siren, not a machine, something alive, something alien. Ethan's heart hammered against his chest. He could feel the pulse through his entire body, the persona bracing, ready, every nerve on alert. "Stay close," he whispered to Isabella, voice high yet resolute. "No matter what happens, don't let go." Then movement. A figure emerged from the darkness. Not the masked stranger. Not Dr. Reyes. This was someone or something different, taller than any human should be, silent, gliding, its presence more felt than seen. Shadows clung to it, shifting, bending around its form as if reality itself was warping to accommodate it. Ethan's heels clicked involuntarily as he stepped forward, skirt swaying, mask shimmering under the faint reflections of city lights. He could feel power coursing through him, the persona merging with his very instincts, every tremor replaced by a dangerous, electrifying confidence. What are you?" he demanded, voice echoing in the darkness. The figure didn't answer. Instead, it extended a hand, a clawed, impossibly long hand, glowing faintly with violet energy. The pulse in the room grew louder, resonating with the persona inside Ethan, a testing rhythm, a heartbeat of judgment. And then another sound. The apartment door slammed open with a violent force, rattling the frames on the wall. Someone or something was entering or had been inside all along. Ethan's breath caught. Isabella clutched his arm harder. Panic threatened to rise, but he pushed it down. She wouldn't panic. She wouldn't let fear take control. He straightened, every movement precise, deliberate, commanding. "I am her," he said aloud, the voice carrying through the darkness. "And I am not afraid." The figure tilted its head, a slow, deliberate motion that sent chills down his spine. Then, it moved forward, graceful yet predatory. The air seemed to bend around it, and with every step, Ethan felt the walls of reality crack, reality itself bending like paper. Suddenly, the floor beneath him vibrated. The building groaned, the lights flickered, and the city outside seemed to vanish into shadows. Ethan's reflection in the window shimmered violently, the persona's image splitting, fracturing, merging with something alien. "Ethan Hale." A voice boomed, not from the figure, but from everywhere and nowhere at once. "You have embraced her fully. But can you survive yourself?" The words struck him like ice. Survive himself? He stumbled backward, skirt twisting, heels slipping on the hardwood floor. Panic surged, but she, the persona, rose to meet it, steady, commanding, fearless. Isabella whispered, "What is happening?" Ethan didn't answer. He couldn't. The energy around the figure pulsed faster, faster, synchronized with the thrum inside his chest. It wasn't just a test anymore, it was a reckoning. Every secret, every fear, every thrill, every revelation, everything he had hidden or embraced was about to collide. And then the figure spoke again. Its voice was both beautiful and terrifying, layered with echoes, vibrations that rattled his bones. "Only one choice remains. Become entirely, or lose everything you hold dear." Ethan's pulse surged. The persona screamed internally, "Now! Own it!
Claim it!"
He lifted his head, mask pressing firmly, skirt tight against his thighs, heels balanced on the floor. The pulse of energy wrapped around him, crackling alive. She wasn't just a persona anymore. She was a force, a weapon, a shield. And then the figure lunged. Time slowed. Every heartbeat stretched. Ethan's mind split between fear and exhilaration. The persona whispered, "You are unstoppable. You are everything." He braced himself. The world outside melted. The shadows twisted. The city vanished. And as the figure's hand reached him, violet energy lashing out, the apartment exploded in light, shadows, and unearthly force. Ethan's scream mingled with a laugh. Fear, thrill, power, freedom, all at once. Then silence. The lights returned. The apartment was empty. Isabella sat on the floor, trembling, eyes wide, looking around.
But Ethan?
No trace. The mask, the heels, the dress gone. Only the echo of a presence lingered, a whisper in the air. "This is only the beginning."